What's going on, YouTube? This is The Last Musketeer, and welcome to the Epic 7 free-to-play continuation series. Now, the only reason I changed the name is because I felt like Beyond the free-to-play was a bit strange. It made it kind of sound like I wasn't doing free-to-play stuff anymore, so we're going to change it to the free-to-play continuation series. Maybe that'll be a little easier to notice, but we're starting out right away with working up Briar Witch Assyria. Now, this has been a long time coming. I still obviously don't have everything I need, and I do get a dupe of regular Assyria that I can plug in to help with the promotion and get her first memory imprint, so that'll be really nice. A little extra attack. And also, if you notice the gear I'm using right now, it's very bad. 1300 attack, 174 speed, 54 crit chance, and about 190 crit damage, which is very bad stats. So I'm in desperate need of gear, so I did a decent amount of wyvern farming over the last week. So I had about 6,000 resources altogether to farm, or to build gear with, and the problem was I rolled all of them down to like where I had about 400 resources left, and I think I only got 2 pieces that might have been usable on her. So that's the main problem that I'm running into right now, is just not having the pieces that I need. So I do a couple of the epic crafts as well, and I try to use them on the necklace or ring slot, just because if you roll something really well there, then you're gonna have a lot more options to plug it into a lot of different kits later on. So I went for it. Unfortunately, rolled flat health, which is basically one of the worst things you can get, because the ideal roll is to at least get something that is a percentage stat, because that's going to give you a lot more stats overall than getting a flat boost. So when it rolls something like that, is generally going to be a throwaway. If it has really good substats though, you might be able to use it as a placeholder on another piece for somebody, so don't just throw it away just because of that situation. But a lot of times, especially as you're getting later into the game, you're going to want to only use the percent base. Now, I'm showing this lab run because I'm getting close to the next part of the labyrinth unlock, and I've also set up a new team. So it's Vildred, Angelic Montmorency, Briar Witch Assyria, and Conqueror Lilius. So I think when they do the camping, the morale boost is about 32 to 35. I forget the exact number, but it's pretty good, and they're going to be a lot stronger plugging her in swapping Lorena out, because while Lorena does give you a little more morale, she's not going to be near as strong as Briar Witch Assyria, so it's going to be a big boost to me. And also, I wanted to showcase a little bit, because I am leveling up Politis as well. She also has rough gear on her, but I'm absolutely loving this team setup. So Briar Witch Assyria is there for not only the block buffs and the defense down, but for the cannot be revived. Is very, very strong against heroes like Arbiter Vildred, who would be a nightmare to deal with, because he gets the revive to max health and the cooldown on his ultimate. So very easy way to deal with him. But also having Politis in there, anytime I'm going against something with combat readiness gain, her passive is going to reduce the effect of the combat readiness granted to the enemy by 50%. So that's going to be huge for stopping teams that are all about gaining speed, especially when it comes to cleave teams, because they're all about buffing, getting the first attack, and then cleaving your team down with someone like Vildred, for instance. But not only that, anytime it's not a non-attack skill, it will activate Tranquility. Now, this can only be every 2 turns, but it attacks all enemies, decreasing buff duration by 1 turn before increasing combat readiness of the caster by 30%. So she's going to move that much closer to another attack, where I can use Starfall, which is her 3rd ability, and attacks all enemies with alien technology with a 75% chance to decrease hit chance and make them unable to be buffed for 2 turns. So the 50% minus to hit chance is huge, because if I wanted to, I could also pair her with some type of evasion team, which is effectively going to make them very, very hard to hit. So all in all, she has a lot of different uses, and she's very good for countering a lot of different team setups. But with this whole thing, I'm mainly just trying to land the defense down with Asaria, using Vildred to clean up. Politis is going to be there to help keep them from going first, because realistically my team is not that fast, so anytime I can slow the other team down, it's going to be a much easier time. But a lot of the fights that I'm doing right now are not too bad. This is Masters, I think I'm in Masters 4 right now, but they are getting a lot harder in terms of running into some people that have really, really strong teams. But I'm still able to win a lot of these because just with the lineup I got, and I have gotten lucky with my pulls. Don't get me wrong, Briarwitch Asaria is an extremely lucky pull, and I got her right before she got buffed, so it was kind of just really good timing. But it just makes arena grinding so much easier right now, and in the future I'm going to set up a lot more different teams so I can kind of do a video where I'm just going through and explaining my thought process for going into each fight and how I try to counter the other team. But right now that is my main setup. I can swap in someone else for Politis, maybe like a Flan for some extra damage, for another guaranteed defense down. Also can swap around Briarwitch Asaria as well for something like that. So I have a decent amount of options. I'm just not quite there yet in terms of gear. So that's got to be another point that I have to make in focus. But as you see at the top there, I only have 160k gold. This has been a major problem for me, and something that I hadn't ran into until the last couple of weeks, because before then I was always staying around 3 to probably 4k gold. I'm realizing now that gold is a bit harder to come by, so while I'm doing a lot of hunts and things to get some extra things, and I'm selling some of the really bad gear that I get, I'm just having a bit of a hard time getting what I need for the gear. And you see me lose this one. This does happen from time to time. I don't know what the name of that actual hero was, but she is evidently very strong in PvP. Now I do run it again, and I thought about switching, so I swapped Politis out for Conqueror Lilius, another great option for running in PvP. Problem is she's a little slow right now, so it doesn't really do much, but my focus this time was making sure that Vildred got his attacks off so he could take out the heroes in time, because once that dark hero over there that I don't know the name of still gets me, I'm pretty much screwed, because she just hits so incredibly hard that I have no option but to lose like half my squad. Now we're moving on to Abyss, because really I didn't do much Abyss through the week. The reason being, I was trying to work up some teams because I was having a bit of a hard time, and these fights are still taking a lot of time, a lot more than I'd like them to, because doing 10 minutes for each run is very exhausting at times, especially when you're recording. You don't want to have that much footage being blocked by having like a 10-minute Abyss run, so I do cut it down as often as I can. Now, General Purgus really isn't that hard. It's all about maintaining defense down and attack down so that he doesn't overwhelm you, especially with the summons that he gets every few turns. So I love having extra summons being pulled in when I'm using Vildred, because the more things he has to defeat, the more he's going to proc his passive, which means overall just more damage. Vildred has just been such a godsend for me, so I'm so glad that I started this account with Vildred. Going through the whole series that I did, the free-to-play Is It Worth It series, was just, it was a breeze with him in there, and he's still one of my most viable characters. I probably use him in basically every single thing that I do, so it's good that he's still able to do what he's able to do. And I've got some options that I can use to make him stronger as well, because he's still just as he was in the first week of playing the game, using the same set that they give you at the start. It's just been that good of a mainstay for him, because he hits really hard, has really good stats, so I hadn't had the option to actually swap anything out until just recently. So I'll probably put a crit chance thing on him, trying to get as much crit damage with it, and speed as well for his third ability. But Eris of the Wind, another fight that's really not that hard. He has a really strong healing factor. So every couple of turns he can put that continuous heal on himself, and it heals for about 42k, which is a lot of heal. I did not have any heal block on this team, but we got him down just from sheer damage, and especially with Conqueror Lilia's using her first ability to get the dual attack, and when it procs on Vildred with the defense down, he's getting a lot of damage out. So it's been a very good squad, and especially if it's on a dual attack and he does defeat an enemy off of it, he gets another attack with his passive. So you can see how much he can stack up with people that have the option for dual attack with him. It's just a fantastic hero in general. So we finally get him down, and that is floor 65. Now, I wish I was a lot further in it, but I had been purifying because, like I said, I've been trying to get gear up. Now, this is one of my favorite things to showcase because this is the fight against Arbiter Vildred. Now, ordinarily, he'd be a pain because of his passive, making it to where when he takes fatal damage, he instead goes to max health and reduces the cooldown of his ultimate. So instead of having to deal with that, I do have Briar Witch Assyria, which is a complete counter to Arbiter Vildred, which is one of the main reasons she's so good in PvP, because Arbiter hits extremely hard and he's good for PvP lineups. So having her in there just to shut down his passive and take him out without having to do it again is the greatest feeling. And I do get 3.1 mil gold from floor 66, which is huge. I'm very much needing that because I do really need the pieces. Now, I'm showing what I've got coming up on the floors. I have a ton of good rewards. Floor 88 is very notable, floor 99 especially notable as well because they're both 10 pulls on the Mystic banner. Now for the current limited banners, I'd love to get Bihu to try out the fire, also love to get Arya. I have two big reasons why I love to get Arya, but no, she's a really good hero. I love to pull that one, and I'd love to pull something on the Mystic banner and hopefully get a 5-star hero, but alas, we're still not to that point yet. I'm also only 2 away from hitting the 4 to 5-star pity on the Moonlight summon, so hopefully we'll get that pretty soon. But I have some speed boots that I bought from the arena store. They're really nice, and they rolled attack every single upgrade so far. So 5% crit chance, 6% crit damage, and then about 7% effect resistance, but 32% attack would be nuts. So I'll probably swap that out onto Briar Witch Assyria because it does go better with her kit, though I would lose a lot of effectiveness, so I gotta wait a little bit on that. And Politis also has very little effectiveness, so there's a lot of things I have to work on, but they're both using very terrible gear. It's just placeholder, and I hadn't had enough to level them up, so I do that over time, but also don't have anything to promote her with yet because I did a ton of promotions, but not for 6-star. But with the upgrades I did get, I figured I'd show a couple more showcases in the arena. And honestly, it's not looking half bad. Yeah, I'm still lacking a lot of speed and a little bit of effectiveness, but overall, we're getting to the point where it feels like we're able to make a little bit of a stand against people that have some actually pretty well set up lineups. So with this one in particular, I do think I got lucky in the sense that the bots aren't the brightest things ever, and they were attacking, spreading out the attacks at least, to some of my healthier members, so they were able to survive long enough for me to actually go through and win this fight. Now, the most important thing is making sure that Vildred survives, because he is all my damage. Right now they just do not have the damage to do it on their own. So if he goes down, it's essentially an auto lose. I do not have a revive champ set up in my lineup currently, though that will probably change as time goes on, and especially since I'm going to try to work on a go second team at some point here. Something that I can use to provoke a lot to get some nice counterattacks going on. I really like counterattack go second teams, so I will see what I can come up with here pretty soon, but I'm going to end the video here, guys. Hopefully I can showcase a little more arena, a little more different teams going forward, and maybe a guild war where we're not getting absolutely thwomped by some insane guild, because I was going to show that, but it's not going to work out this video. But anyway, guys, this has been The Last Musketeer, and I hope I see you in the next one. Peace.